Hi everyone, Kristina here. Welcome to another video for SimonsStamp.com. Today I'm using the stamp set that comes in the March 2021 card kit. This is the spring window stamp set, and I'm going to be stamping one of the windows in ACORN ink from VersaFine Clair. I'm going to be stamping it onto watercolor paper, which is quite textured. So I'm going to stamp it twice so that I get a very strong line and a very good impression. Using a MISTI stamp positioning tool is perfect for this because it ensures that you have the same position for your stamp. So I'm stamping that twice. I'm going to be doing some watercoloring with Karin markers today. That's why I'm using a permanent ink or waterproof ink on watercolor paper. So I'm going to be using a little bit of that pattern paper from the kit, and I wanted to pick out some colors of markers that would complement that pattern paper. So that's why I've chosen these colors. And then I'm going to do some direct coloring onto the watercolor paper and then spreading the color with a wet brush. I'm using a size 2 Royal & Langnickel Zen brush, but you could use any small detail watercolor brush. There's a lot of little itty bitty corners and nooks and crannies on this image, so using a smaller brush really does help. And for areas of color that don't want to spread out, like that very first initial painting that I did with this gray marker, you can get it wet with your brush. It doesn't spread the color too much at that point, but get it wet and then come back with your marker and just barely kiss the surface of the paper with the tip of the brush. And that really just kind of coaxes the color to start spreading. You can do that with most any coloring medium. If it doesn't want to really move, while it's wet, go back and add some more and it'll really get the color moving. So I'm using a gray shade and I'm leaving quite a bit of white on the shutters so that it sort of gives the impression of a white window frame with white shutters. I then brought in a nice aqua blue color to put inside the windows. And then I'm going to do some colorful leaves and flowers for the window box. So I've got 2 shades of green. This first one is a more bright, vibrant green. And then I have a more muted black green for those other leaves. I brought in a very kind of red-orange shade, and then a nice gold yellow for the other flowers. And then I put that dark green in the center and dabbed it up with a paper towel just to take away some of that intensity and then spread that color a little bit. So at this point, I decided to cut out my window. I'm going to have it on top of that pattern paper and have it popped up from the surface of my card using some foam tape. So I wanted to cut this out, fussy cutting it around all those edges, and then I moved on to my card base. So this card base is made out of some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 110-pound cardstock, and I've scored that at 5.5 to create a top folding card, or it's actually a side folding card, but this will be a landscape card when it's finished. I adhered my pattern paper using some Tombow Extreme adhesive, and now I'm making my own DIY kind of orangey red cardstock that I can use for my greeting. I wanted it to match those flowers. So I spread a bunch of that color out with my marker, got it wet, dried it, and then I applied a powder tool. This is an anti-static powder tool, and stamped my message in VersaMark ink. It's going to give me a really good impression. And I actually stamped that twice like I did before with the window so that I could get a good impression on this textured watercolor paper. By the way, this is Strathmore 5x7 watercolor paper that's pre-cut. So I put some alabaster embossing powder from Brutus Monroe over that stamped greeting. I melted it with my heat tool, and then I used a ruler and a craft knife to cut this out. And I was just eyeballing the lines to make sure that I got it straight on this one. And after I had it initially cut out, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to give it a ribbon end just on the right side. So the way I do that is I do a straight cut, and then I come back in and do a vertical cut up to the middle where I want the middle of that V shape to be. And then I go from corner to middle on each side, and that gives me the perfect even ribbon end. So my plan is to have this sort of banner coming out from underneath the window. So I'm going to sort of eyeball it, position it, see where I want it to go, and determine where I need to cut that window. I decided to go ahead and cut it right along the edge of the left window column. And I'm going to put the window and the banner on foam adhesive and then adhere it straight to the front of the card. Now, this card was looking a little bit plain to me, so I thought I'd add a little bit of glossy accents from Ranger right over those window panes so that it has a glossy texture. It's going to make it look like glass. Now, this glossy accents, I have kind of an older bottle, and the color started to sort of change a little bit to more on the yellow side. Most of the time when I've used glossy accents, it is very clear. And I thought this one would dry a little bit more clear, but you'll see in the final photos that there really is a little bit of a yellow cast to the glossy accents, which I kind of don't mind. I like the color. I think it goes well with that background. So once again, this stamp set and the pattern paper that I used today are from the March 2021 card kit from Simon Says Stamp. Make sure you head over to the SimonSaysStamp.com store to grab your own card kit so you can start creating some spring window cards. Thanks so much for watching today, and I will catch you guys in another video very soon.